What would you do for love? Would you create terrorist organization and threaten to take down a city if your beloved isn't released? Well, that's what this person just did. Carlos, the Jackal.
Ladies and gentlemen of all ages, boys and girls, thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of Angry Meat Production. We appreciate you coming in and letting us be a part of your lives week in and week out. We hope to do our best to present you with something that your eardrums delight in. Whether you're looking at us on YouTube or Rumble, or listening to us on Spotify, Google, or Anchor, or any of the other podcast services that we are currently on or trying to get on. We thank you. And if you don't mind, at the end of every episode, stop by, leave us a comment, leave us a like. If it asks for 5 stars, we'll take 5 stars, even if you don't like us. 5 stars are what it's all about. With that being said, we hope you enjoy our attempt to make our advocation our vocation. Ladies and gentlemen, let the games begin. We here at Angry Me Production want to thank our sponsor, Mobile Notary Mindy. She's certified with the National Notary Association. She's also bonded and E&O insured. She offers a wide range of services including wills, powers of attorney, medical documents, healthcare proxies, living wills, certification of trust, assignment of personal property, HIPAA waivers, advanced healthcare directives, and 99 verification. You can find her on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram at Mobile Notary Mindy. You can also visit her webpage at texasmobilenotarymindy.com. That's TX, mobilenotarymindy.com. Thank you so much and enjoy the show.
Welcome, Angry Faithful. Yes, today we're going to talk about Carlos the Jackal, a.k.a. Ichion Ramirez Sanchez. But we're just going to call him Carlos throughout this most of the thing. And yes, most of these, it's Spanish. So some of the stuff I'm going to be relying heavily on Stephen Hawking on this. So if you hear a weird voice in the aftermath of this, and yeah, it's going to be just that. Now, let's begin. Now, Ramirez Sanchez, son of Marxist lawyer Jose Ramirez and Elba Maria Sanchez, was born in Michelina. Hopefully that's right. I did the speech things like several times.
Michelina.
Oh, I'm sorry, everybody. Michelina in Venezuela state, Tachara. Despite his mother's pleas to give their firstborn a Christian first name, Jose called him Eric, Vladimir Eric Lenin, while two other sibling were Lenin and the other one Vladimir. Eric attended high school at Leo Ferro Toros in Carciana, joined the youth movement for Venezuelan Communist Party in 1959. After attending the third Tricontinental Conference in January 1966 with his father, Eric spent the summer camp and met Stephanie Hawking. Help me out here.
Matanzas,
a guerrilla warfighter school ran by Cuban DGI, and DGI is a Director General de Intelligenta, basically the Director General Intelligence in near Havana. Later that year, his parents divorced. His mother took the children to London, where she studied at Stanford House College in Kingston. and the London School of Economics in 1968. Jose tried to enroll Eirik and his brother in Storburn in Paris, but eventually opted for the Practice Lombard University in Moscow. According to BBC, it is a notorious hotbed for recruiting foreign communists to the Soviet Union, such as active measures. Active measures is a term used to describe political warfare conducted by the Soviet Union and Russian Federation. He was expelled from the university in 1970. From Russia, Ramirez Sanchez traveled to Beirut, Lebanon, where he volunteered for the Popular Front for Liberation of Palestine, PFLP, in July 1970. He was a student to a training camp for foreign volunteers of the PFLP on the outskirts of Ottoman, Jordan. On graduating, he studied at a finishing school codenamed H4 and staffed by the Iraqi military near the Syria Iraq border. The name and origins of Carlos Jackal when he joined the Popular Front of Liberation Palestine in 1970, recruiting officer Baslam Alaf Steffing Hawking. Help me out with this one.
Bassem Abu Sharif.
Bassem Abu Sharif gave him the codename Carlos, because of his South American roots. Sanchez was dubbed the Jackal by the Guardian after one of his correspondents reported spotting Frederick Forsum's 1971 novel The Day of the Jackal on the bookshelf of a friend's apartment, in which Sanchez had stashed some weapons. The book belonged to a resident in the apartment, not to Sanchez, who probably never read it. Now, on the completing guerrilla warfare training, Sanchez, as he was now calling himself, played an active role for the Popular Front for Libyan of Palestine in the north of Jordan during the Black September conflict in 1970, gaining a reputation as a fighter. After the organization was pushed out of Jordan, he returned to Beirut. He sent a train by Willy Hanza.
Wadi Haddad.
Wadi Haddad. Sorry again. He eventually left the Middle East to attend courses of Polytechnic Central London, now known as the University of Westminster, and apparently continued his work for the PFLP. In 1973, Sanchez conducted a failed PFLP assassination. I'm sorry, the PFLP is just really messed up to say. But anyways, it's a shorter version. Anyways. But the PFLP assassination attempt on Joseph Schiff, a Jewish businessman and vice president of the British Zealot Foundation, on December 30th, Sanchez called on Schiff home on Queen Grove in St. John Woods and ordered the maid to take him to Schiff. Finding Schiff into the bathroom, in his bathroom, Sanchez fired one bullet at Schiff from his Turkov 7.62 pistol, which bounced off Schiff between his nose and upper lip, knocking him unconscious. The gun then jammed and Sanchez fled. Pretty horrible that your first assassination attempt, you fail horribly. The attack was announced as a retaliation for Mossad's assassination in Paris of Mohad Bouhadeh, a PFLP leader. Sanchez admitted responsible for the fair bomb attack at the Bank of
Hapolim
in London, and a car bomb attack on 3 French newspapers associated with pro-Israel leanings. He claimed to be the grenade thrower of the Parisant restaurant. In a attack that killed 2 or injured 30, as a part of the 1974 French embassy attack in the
Hague.
God. He later participated in 2 failed rocket-propelled grenade attacks and Oh, Israel Airlines on Orly Airport near Paris on 13th and 17th of January 1975. The second attack resulted in gunfire with police at the airport and 17-hour hostage situation involving hundreds of riot police and French Interior Minister Michael Ponsky. Sanchez fled during the gunfight while three other PFLP terrorists were allowed passage to Baghdad, Iraq. According to FBI agent Robert Shear, one MIR, Revolutionary Left Movement, and one ERP, People's Revolutionary Army, members were arrested in Pargoa in June 1975. These two would have possessed Sanchez's phone number in Paris. Pargona authorities would have handed over the information to France. On June 26, 1975, Sanchez PFLP contact Libyan-born
Mark Harbel.
Mark Harbel was captured and interrogated by the French Domestic Intelligence Agency, DST, which is Direction de la Surveillance de Terre. When two unarmed agents of DST interrogated Sanchez at the partisan house party, Mikhail Bola revealed Sanchez's identity. Sanchez then shot and killed two agents, and Magoba fled the scenes and escaped to Brussels to Beirut. In November 1976, the Bureau of Internal American Affairs claimed Sanchez and his wife were shot to death in central Bogota on November 24th. From Beirut, Sanchez participated in the planning of an attack on the headquarters of OPEC, which is Organized Petroleum Exporting Countries, and Vienna. On December 21st, 1975, he led a 6-person team, including Gabriel Korch-Tinneman, then attacked the meeting of OPEC leaders. The team took more than 60 hostages and killed 3. An Australian policeman, an Iraqi OPEC employee, a member of a Libyan delegation, and Sanchez demanded that Austrian authorities ream a communique about the Palestinian calls in Austria radio and television networks every 2 hours to avoid the threatened execution of hostages every 15 minutes. The Australian government agreed, and communique was broadcast as demand. On December 22nd, the government provided PFLP and 42 hostages and to an airplane and fled them to Algiers as demanded for the hostages' release. Ex-Royal Navy pilot Neville Atkins, at the time, the personal pilot for Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi, flew Sanchez to a number of others, including Hans Grommelkin, a supporter of the imprisoned Red Army faction and a member of the Revolutionary Cell. Gabriel Koch-Tillman and Algiers. Atkins flew the DC-9 to Terrapol, where most hostages were freed before he returned to Algiers. The last hostages were freed there, and some of the terrorists were granted asylum. Why would you grant them asylum? Okay. In years follow, the OPEC raid booms Bassum Abdu Sharif, another PFLP agent, and claimed that Sanchez had received a large sum of money for a safe release of Arab hostages and kept it into his personal use, claiming that the amount was between 20 million and 50 million. The sources of this money is also uncertain, but according to Clean, it was from an Arab president. Sanchez later told his lawyers that the money was paid by the Saudis on behalf of the Iranians and was delivered en route and lost by the revolution. Sanchez left Algeria for Libya and then Aden, where he attended a meeting of senior PFLP officials to justify his failure to execute 2 senior OPEC hostages, the finance minister of Iran and the oil ministry of Saudi Arabia. His trainer and PFLP-EO external operations leader Wadi Hadan expelled Carlos for not shooting hostages when PFLP demanded were not met, or demands were not met, thus failing his mission. You get kicked out because you didn't kill somebody. Okay. All right. Manuel Cortez, Gran Martinez, and Sergio Aranodo, and an unidentified Brazilian journal traveled to Tehran in 1976 to offer a collab. I'm guessing
Collaboration.
I don't know why I was stuck on that word, but I was stuck on that word. A collab with regime to kill Carlos in exchange for a large sum of money. It is not known what exactly happened in the meeting. In September 1976, Carlos was arrested, detained in Yugoslavia, and flown to Baghdad. He chose to settle in Aden, where he tried to fund his own organization of armed struggles, composing of Syria, Lebanese, and German rebels, probably Nazis. He also connected the Sadis East Government Secret Police. They provided him with an office and safe house in East Berlin and a support staff of 75 and a service car, and allowed him to carry a pistol while in public. From here, Carlos is believed to have planned his attacks on several European targets, including the bombing of Radio Free Europe offices in Munich in 1981. Carlos' organization was also backed by the Romanian government of
Nicolae Ceausescu.
which provided them with a base, weapons, and passports. The commission in the Munich RFE offices building as part of a eventually unsuccessful hunt for Romanian defector, former General Ion Mihad Pasis. On February 16th, 1982, 2 of the group's Swift terrorists, Bruno Broquet and Carlos's wife,
Magdalena Kopp,
were arrested in Paris. The car was found containing explosives after their arrest. A letter was sent to the French embassy in The Hague demanding their immediately release. Meanwhile, Carlos unsuccessfully lobbied the French government for their release, an attempt to force the French to free the two. France was struck with a wave of terrorist attacks. Jeez. Included the bombing of Paris de Caux TGV, Le Capital train, and on March 29th, 1982, 5 dead and 77 injured. A car bombing of the newspaper Awata Arab in Paris in April 22nd, 1982. 1 dead, 63 injured. And the bombing of Gir Satan Charles and Marseilles on December 31st, 1983. 2 dead and 33 injured. And the bombing of Marseille Paris TGV train. 3 dead and 12 injured on the same day. In August 1983, he also attacked Delft, France, in West Berlin, killing 1 man and injuring 22 other people. Within days of the bombing, Carlos sent letters to 3 separate news agencies claiming the responsibility for the bombing as revenge for the French airstrikes against PFLP training camp in Libya Libyan previous month. Sorry. Historians exclaim the stasis files and accessibility after German reunification, demonstrating a link between Carlos and the KGB via East German secret police. When Leonard Brazil visited West Germany in 1981, Carlos did not undertake any attacks at the request of KGB. Western intelligence had expected activity during this period. Carlos also had relationships with the leader of the Secret Army of Liberation of Armament.
Armenia.
Armenia. The Stasis asked Carlos to use his influence in ASALA to tone down the Armenian group anti-Soviet activities, with conditioned support from the Iraqi regime after the death of
Haddad.
Carlos offered the services of the group to the PFLP and other groups. His group's first attack may have been failed rocket attacks in Superfexy's French nuclear power station in January 18th, 1982. These attacks led to the international pressure of Eastern Europe states harboring Carlos for over 2 years. He lived in Hungary and Budapest's second district. His main cutout for some of his financial resources, such as Gaddafi and George Habasin, was the friend of his sister, Damaro Cardo, a known German terrorist and leader of the Panther Brigade of the PFLP. Hungary expelled Carlos late 1985, and he was refused sanctuary in Iraq, Libya, Cuba before he found limited support in Syria. He settled in Damascus with Kupa and their daughter, Isabella Rosa. The Syrian government forced Carlos to remain inactive, and he was subsequently seen as a neutralized threat. In 1990, the Iraqi government approached him for work, and in September 1991, he was expelled from Syria, which he was supported the American intervention against the Iraq invasion of Kuwait. Now, after searching over 2 years for a country who would allow him to remain there, after a short stay in Jordan, Sanchez entered the Sultania's capital of Cordonium under the protections of Sheikh Hussein al-Tabi, a powerful Muslim fundamentalist leader. At the time, Hezbollah's chief operation, the Egyptian Islamic Jihad leader Adnan al-Zawahiri, and the Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden were also staying in Sudan. In 1993, CIA contractor and former senior NCO military assistant command Vietnamese studies and observation group Billy Wagyu was tasked to find Sanchez. He and other members of his team searched for Sanchez for about 4 months in Kodom during 1993. They identified a man known to be working as a bodyguard for Sanchez and surveyed him until he led them to Sanchez's apartment on February 8th, 1994. They established an observation post in an abandoned hospital across the street and watched him for 4 months when he handed their intelligence to the French DST, and the DGSE, Director General of Internal Security for France, offered the Sudanese government much needed communication equipment and even supplied them with satellite pictures of their enemy's position. Al-Tabib was invited to Paris to negotiate for Sanchez's extradition. Al-Tabib was adamant that his culture forbid him from giving up guests in his country. French Minister of Interior Charles
Pasqua.
Pasqua. God, I was totally off. Offered to talk to the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, on Sudan's behalf and help secure loans that would eventually erase Sudan's foreign debt. Al-Tabi was also surveillance video of Sanchez partying, drinking, and carousing with women, which offered Aberdeen's Muslim faith, Al-Tabi, who was agreed to protect Sanchez as a combatant, someone who fought for the Palestine cause, now considers Sanchez a hoodlum. He agreed to give up Sanchez. Carlos had left his first wife, who had taken their daughter to Venezuela. Carlos was eager to father a child with his second wife, Lena Jara. He was admitted to a hospital in Condom for a vasectomy to correct his low sperm count. After the operation, Sudanese police officer told him that the government had learned of a plot to kill him. An armed escort took him and his bodyguards to a villa near Al-Tabin's home. His wife went back to their home to get to the personal belongings, but he never did return. At 3 a.m., August 14th, 1994, Carlos was awakened by several men who pinned him to the bed. They put him in handcuffs, leg cuffs, and before the doctor tranquilized him, he was taken from a villa and placed into a private jet, which flown to Paris to face the trial. The French judge issued a national arrest warrant against Carlos for murdering two Paris policemen at Rue Tourreau in 1979. The warrant allowed the French government to avoid lengthy processes, implying Interpol for extraditionary order. He was charged in 1975 of murders of two Paris policemen and of Michael Stephen Hawkins
McCarble,
a former accomplice. He was sent to a maximum security prison, Lasset prison, to await trial. Along the French had violated international law by capturing and removing Carlos from Sudan by force. Majority of the European Commission of Human Rights in 1996 rejected his application for release based on how he was captured. I can understand that. The trial began December 12th, 1997. Carlos unsuccessfully demanded that he be released on the grounds that he was illegally arrested. He argued that his original lawyers and replaced them before eventually dismissing them all. Sanchez denied the 1975 murder of two French agents and Michael McCauble. He said the murderers were orchestrated by Mossad and condemned Israel as a terrorist state. I mean, you did do it. He told the court, when one wages war for 30 years, there's a lot of blood spilled, mine and others. But we never killed anyone for money, but for a cause. You had like $50 million for killing somebody. So, yeah, can't really believe that. And the liberation of Palestine. He defended himself over the remaining 8 days of his trial and gave the court a rambling 4-hour closing statement. Geez, you talked for 4 hours. That's amazing. The jury deliberated for 3 hours and 48 minutes before returning with the verdict. On December 23rd, finding him guilty on all counts, he was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Later, his trial confirmed the sentence and added 2 more life sentences. In 2001, after converting to Islam, Ramirez Sanchez married his lawyer, Isabella Corte Pere, in a Muslim ceremony, although he was still married to his second wife. In June 2003, Carlos published a collection of writings from his jail cell, the book whose titled translated Revolution of Islam, seeking to explain and defend violence toward the class conflict. In the book, he voices support of Osama bin Laden and his attacks on the United States. In 2005, the European Courts of Human Rights heard a complaint from Sanchez that his long years of solitary confinement considered inhumane and disregarding treatment. In 2006, the court decided that Article 3 of the European Convention on Human Rights prohibited of inhumane and disregarding treatment had not been violated. However, Article 13, the right to an efficient remedy, had been. Carlos Sanchez was awarded €10,000 for costs and expenses, having made no claims for compensation for damages. In 2006, he was moved from La Senta to Corvex prison. Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez had a correspondent with Carlos from the latter prison in Paris. Chavez sent a letter in which he addresses Carlos as a distinguished compatriot.
Distinguished compatriot.
Yeah, I was right. Okay. Yay, me. I learned things. On June 1st, 2006, Chavez referred to him as a good friend during a meeting in OPEC countries held in Venezuela. On November 20th, 2009, Chavez publicly defended Carlos, saying that he was wrongly considered a bad guy. He was a bad guy. Because you're a dictator, you understand him. And he was believed Carlos to be unfairly convicted. Chavez called him one of the great fighters of Palestine Liberation Organization. France summoned the Venezuelan ambassador and demanded an explanation. Chavez, however, declined to retract his comments. In 2017, Sanchez claimed responsibility for 80 deaths and boasting that no one in the Palestinian residence has executed more people than I have. In May 2017, terrorism judge Jean Louis Burgoa ordered a new trial for Ramirez Sanchez on charges relating to the killing and destruction of property using explosive devices in France in 1982 and 1983. Some targeting trains, which killed 11 people and injuring 150. Ramirez Sanchez denied any connection to the events as his 2011 trial, staging an 9-day hunger strike and protest his imprisonment conditions. The trial began November 7th, 2011. In Paris, 3 other members of Ramirez Sanchez organization were tried in absent. I totally messed that word up. Hold on real quick. Stephanie Hawkins, please help me out.
Absentia.
Absentia. At the same time, Germany had refused to extradite Welch and Fulgan, and Al Hassan, a Palestinian, is reported on the run. Sanchez continues to deny any involvement in the attacks. In December 15, 2011, Sanchez, Welch, and Isaac were convicted and sentenced to life in prison. Faulkner was acquitted. Sanchez appealed against the verdict, and a new trial begun in May 2013. He lost his appeal in June 2013. Judges in a specific anti-terrorism court upheld his life sentence. In October 2014, he was also charged with the attack of a drugstore, public drugstore, in September in 1974. And yes, it's a French way to say public, but it's part of the French embassy of The Hague. In 1974, when a grenade tossed in the cafe killed 2 and wounded 34. In 1979, a magazine published an interview with Sanchez in which is admitted he was responsible for that. The grenade was tracked and found to have been stolen from a U.S. Army base in 1972. Another was found in Paris at the home of Carlos's mistress. Carlos denied that the interview ever took place after a lengthy appeals of the charges. In May 2016, his trials was ordered to proceed and open in March 2017. On March 28th, 2017, he was sentenced to another life term. So he's never going to get out. In his book in 2003, The Revolutionary of Islam, Ramirez Sanchez professed his administration for the Iranian Revolution, writing that today, confined by the threat to civilization, there is a response. Revolutionary Islam, only men, women, armed with their total faith of the founding of the values of truth, justice, and frailty, will be prepared to lead the combat and deliver humanity from the empire of mendacity. He praises Osama bin Laden on the September 11th attacks, portraying it was a lawful feat to liberate the Islamic Holy Lands and advance the Palestinian causes. Now, that is the end of Carlos the Jackal. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. And hopefully you enjoy this one. I am deeply sorry. If you made it this far, I congratulate you, because that was a long ways and I stumbled a lot. It happens. I fell a lot on these things. Reading's not my first forte of being good at anything, but I keep on trying. Hopefully I'm improving everything. And again, thank you for listening to all this and staying tuned on all of it. Love each and every one that stick with me. So y'all have a good day.